All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Team Passion Zoom call. I'm very excited tonight to have a few special guests with us. Tonight's Zoom call, I wanted to get in the head of our skeptical spouses because it's totally normal and they're just trying to protect us and looking out for us. That's what I tell myself. No, just kidding. They were just really trying to, look out for us and just weren't maybe on board right away with this whole pyramid scheme, right? So I will be asking them questions on, their initial reaction of when their spouse came home, all sorts of excited with their great news and how it was received or not so received. A little bit, I have Mark here too. He's hiding a little. I have Mark here. I'll just tell our story real quick, or do you want to?
No, go ahead.
No, he doesn't want it. I had done another multi-level marketing company for 8 years prior to this, and Mark had seen me, leave the house 2 to 3 nights a week, head out to St. Louis a couple times and go to the yearly conference and promise him trip after trip after trip. Every year we would go to Jamaica and Hawaii and a cruise, and that never happened. So when I came home and said, hey, I think I'm gonna try this other thing. I'm gonna be a Beachbody coach. I'm gonna get healthy and fit, and it costs a lot more than candles did to get started. But here we go. We're gonna do this. And he was like, I don't know. We don't really have the money. He wasn't unsupportive. I won't give him that. He definitely wasn't unsupportive, but he was nervous. He was nervous for me because he saw some tears over the years of, with the other company, of me really trying really hard. And you guys know me. I mean, I tried really hard. Can you imagine? I didn't just give up, 8 years of me trying really hard to make that business work. And it didn't. So, he was just nervous, I think, and just nervous for me and my feelings. But we were able to take him on his first 7-day cruise 6 months into the Beachbody business, and he was sold. So that is, that was it. He was like, okay, what can I do to help? Tell me more. And he was a little surprised on the cruise. I was working. He's like, aren't we here to relax? And I'm like, I don't know. There's CEOs and celebrity trainers that I can go meet and hear talk, and that's what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to do this. I want to do this. And so he got a tan, and I went to work.
I couldn't go anyway.
Yeah, back in those days, he wasn't allowed in the room anyway. So he went and had fun on the cruise. Yeah, he had to wear some sunscreen on his head. All right. So we are going to just kind of dive right into it. I want to share one thing that I'm going to make sure I share at the end of the call of how Mark does this business now. Some of you are like, who the heck's Mark? Right? Because he doesn't really make many appearances publicly in any of our pages or anything, but he likes to be the man behind the scenes, and he has threatened my life if I pull him up on stage when we become 15 stars. So we will not be doing that. But he just likes to be behind the scenes, but he is a huge part of this business. I could not do what I do without him. I couldn't. And it took us sitting down and figuring out what his role was going to be in this business a couple years ago to figure that out, because he was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I said, okay, let's figure out how you can not talk to anyone. And we have done that. So, all right, so let's kind of get started and get perspective from other spouses here. So I am gonna, we'll just kind of we'll go Matt, Chris, and Kurt, just because that's where you are on my screen. So we have Matt and Kristen Donahue and Taryn and Chris Dicky and Monica and Kurt Shiralis. So what I kind of wanted to ask first is, Matt, can you give us your initial reaction when Kristen came home and said, hey, I want to do this Beachbody thing? Like, what was your first kind of like, what is this?
Well, when I met Kristen, she was working, 3 or so different jobs. She was a paralegal. She worked at the Outback. She was in real estate. She was doing all these different things. And then after we were having kids, we were like, okay, so how are we going to make this work? How are we going to make this all stay, above ground? And she started telling me, well, there's this business opportunities. Like when people are like really pushing it. Like she had done the 21-day fix. We both did the exercise. We both did the meal prep. And I knew that it worked. But when she said that, I want to make this a business, I want to be able to retire us and do this, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that's in the cards. Like, I'm just thinking more like traditional, let's get jobs, like see what we can do. But as it continued on, as I saw how well she did at this and how good she was at helping people, it made a little bit more sense. And even though maybe at first it wasn't, it's just, it's not something it doesn't take off right away. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a lot of effort and work. But you can see how it picks up and you can see how people she's helping. And it's, at first, again, it's always scary because, we're always worried, but everything's going great now and she's doing great. So, I think everybody has that initial fear of like, I don't know what this is. I don't understand it. I don't know about a pyramid scheme, but it's like initially, I don't know. I don't understand the business. I don't know. But, now it's different because I've tried to do the research with her and do it on my own side. And, I'm learning more and more. So it's very interesting and it's fun.
I love that. I think we get that no matter if it's our spouse or just in general, when we're inviting people to the business, people are skeptical because they just don't understand it. So great point. We just have to educate them more. I think a lot of times as coaches, our fear sets in and we're like, okay, well, thank you for your time. And it's like, no, we've got to just educate them more because this is too good to not keep sharing. Awesome. Chris, what about you? What was your kind of initial reaction when Taryn came home and was ready to do this business?
I mean, I can definitely say a lot of the same things that he said. And there goes little one. But I would say even beyond that, we're both educators, working in the high school level, guidance counselors. And so that's kind of how I saw our future, teachers, having the summers off, that whole kind of thing. So when when the economy did what it did and where jobs, get cut, and especially, guidance is one of the first things to get cut in a lot of districts, we were like, okay, well, what else are we going to do? And that's when Taryn, pulled in the whole plan with this and started mentioning that this is something that you could actually make into a business and a career, which just like, you, Matt, I couldn't fathom how that would work. And I guess you can't see it until it actually starts, moving along and it's consistent and then keeps building on it. So that's just kind of how I certainly began to believe once it took off and just consistently growing.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Kurt, what about you?
Well, I didn't really come home and say, this is what I'm going to do. We had a meeting with the man, the legend, Tony Furtado. He came over our house one night. I think he was there about, 4 hours? 4 hours. And knowing Tony from college, I was like, I thought it was more funny that it was there. I was like, what is this crap he's trying to sell us? And he kind of got in the door through me, but he knew I would suck at it. And he ended up with Monica, and it was the right move for everybody. But, I was really skeptical at first. And, at first we weren't looking at it as a business. She was mostly taking the shakes for like migraines and just something else to get healthy with. And of course I was like, oh, this is never going to work. It's just another one of these slim fast things, just another fad thing. And I never heard of it. The only thing I've ever heard of back then was P90X, I think. And, but I was fine with her signing up and going all for it. And, at that point we didn't think it would change and become a full-time job for her, let alone now that I'm home from work. You just thought you were going to work for the next 40 years at the same job or, switch jobs. But as the months went by, And, you know, you turn around 6-8 months later, it's like, you know, this is what I just made on this. And then another few months go by and she's like, I'm making more in 1 week than I make, you know, in a month at this job, this work from home job at TripAdvisor that she was miserable at. You know, I'd always find her at, you know, 8:30 at night like this in bed with her computer. And, you know, she wasn't happy. So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know, when she said to me, I'm going to quit my job and go after this, I was like, all right, do it. You know, if it's going to make you happier, do it. And then she's like, my goal is to retire you. And, you know, 2 years later, it's happened. So
Awesome.
I'm fully a believer on it. I've been on the trips. I've seen how this company has grown. How long have you been? 4 years? 5 years?
Cool.
And when Tony came over, he's like, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, get out of here, Tony. And look what just happened to him. So
Yeah.
I see it. I see it with you guys too. So
Beachbody guarantees no level of success of income. Thank you very much. This is recorded. Okay.
is that what they say?
Yeah. You got to memorize that, Kurt.
Okay.
That's your job. Mark, anything you want to add? Like when I first came home and said, I'm going to do this, what was your kind of anything to add?
No, I think it's pretty much the same as everything, except, you know, I think you were more in at the beginning in the fitness stuff, so I kind of let you go with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty much what everyone else said.
Cool. All right, so this next question, I was gonna ask, like, did you say no, or did you kind of basically just say, go ahead, do your thing? But it sounds like everyone said, go ahead, do your thing. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What do you think your strengths are that you could help in the business? Like, I know at the beginning for Mark, he was like, what do you need me to do? And at first I was like, I just need you when you come home from work at 6 o'clock, like, I just need you to, let's eat as a family. And then I need you to do the nighttime routine because I'm going to go upstairs, lock my bedroom door, and just work for the next 4 hours. Like, so that was his support in the beginning. I will take care of the kids at night so that you can do whatever you need to do. What if anything, have you seen or have you guys talked about for the future of how you can contribute to this business with your strengths? Have you guys had that conversation yet, and kind of what's that look like? Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, we're going first. Okay. Yeah, so we do something similar. So I typically get home between like 5 and 5:30, and Kristen will either go to the gym at that time because, you know, it's finally, she'll have some time. But when she does settle in, you know, I usually do the bedtimes and the meals and stuff like that. So if she can join us for dinner, that's fine. But it's usually just me and the boys, which is great because I enjoy that time. But it gives her the time to, you know, finally relax after, you know, being with the boys most of the time all day, right?
Yeah, and I have to, like, get my head on straight to be able to coach people. So I'm like, I just need to, like, recenter myself. Like, I just need that time. And like weekends and stuff, he like is so awesome. Like, honestly, I hear people, you know, other wives who are like, oh, my husband would never do half of what yours does. And I'm like, no, I just tell him like, hey, I need this. And he like believes that exactly what's said needs to happen for me to be able to build the business. And him and I, like, he was really into nutrition and fitness before we met. I had never been into this at all. I just had to at the time because I had kids and I gained a ton of weight, so I didn't have a choice. I had to do something. And him and I, we really work on being proof of the product, I think, together. And he, more than anything, gained from Shakeology because he had heartburn since we had met, like horrible heartburn, and he had no idea. So he tells people that all the time, and everybody has heartburn, I feel like. And when people say it to him, he's always like, oh, I had heartburn too, but literally I started drinking this, and then people are like, really? So he invites odd, but he still does it. So it works. He's always proof.
Awesome. Good. Chris, what about you? Have you guys kind of had that chat yet, or what do you typically do to help out for the business?
I think somewhat, you know. I mean, I'm still a guidance counselor in my role there, and we'll see how long that lasts. Terry keeps telling me, you know, that she'll retire me too. So, you know, in the meantime, I get home a little bit earlier than the most typical jobs, which is kind of nice from that standpoint. And I think a lot of my time is spent with Charlotte, you know, just kind of keeping her quiet when the baby's napping and, you know, just away, you know, around Taryn, but just trying to, she's high energy. So, and then this one, I try and take her whenever I can so Taryn can buckle down. But as you saw here, she clings. She's a clinger. So
A stage 5 clinger.
stage 5 clinger, yeah.
But I will say that Chris, this is awful. I'm home, but I don't clean. I don't do laundry. I don't do the dishes. I used to cook, and so he does all of that stuff now. We are getting somebody to come and clean the house to help him. Can you stop? But like he does all the things that, you know, if I didn't have a work from home and I was home with the girls, I'd be doing, so that when I am home, I can get some work done if she's napping and Charlotte's at school.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So, anyone who has OCD, like seriously, you need to get over that. I will never forget when we hired a house cleaner. My first goal was when we make $1,000 a week, I'm hiring a house cleaner. Mark's like, okay, cool, whatever. And I was like, how much is this gonna cost? I haven't cleaned my house in 2 years. Like, I was like petrified when they first came in. I'm like, the toilets were clean, the dishes in the kitchen were clean, but that was it. I'm like, I haven't dusted. I was like petrified because we were building, just like you said, Taryn, we were building a future that was just like everyone's like, oh my gosh, how did you do? I'm like, I folded laundry while I was on business calls. There wasn't time for any of that. So, spouses, deal with the fact that your house is going to be dirty for a couple of years. You'll be millionaires in a few years. Beachbody doesn't guarantee any level of income or success. Okay, so Kurt, what about you? Now, this is like a test for you guys because we have had numerous conversations about what your role is going to be in the business. So now this is your pop quiz. What's it been like? You came home. What's going to be your role in the business, or what have you already started doing?
Well, still trying to find my niche in the business. I'm still learning, still a lot I don't get or understand. But so far, I've kind of taken over a lot of the house stuff to let her do her thing. And, you know, when there's time, I will sit with her and she'll show me some things. And a lot of times it still goes like that. But I've actually enjoyed being home and kind of being Mr. Mom a lot.
He's so good. He does everything. He brings the kids to the bus. He picks them up from the bus. He does the laundry. He does the dishes. He folds the clothes. He puts them away. He just vacuumed today. And we have a house cleaner, but she doesn't come as consistently as I would like. So I think I need to get her on a bi-weekly schedule or something like that.
Or you tell her when she comes. You hire her.
Or weekly. Yeah, so.
But I do have a lot of questions in the business, especially coming back from Nashville this past summer. My first one, so I learned a lot out there and, you know, things to apply. Always thinking.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Bounce ideas off of her.
I think one of the biggest tips I can give you guys from Mark and I standpoint, like the same thing happened. Like Mark came home and he's like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, the dishes. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to, like, I didn't know. Like, I'm like, well, you don't like talking to anyone. Like, I don't know. And he was like, seriously? I'm like, no, but I don't know what to do. So we fumbled around for a little bit, but then we sat down and we had a serious business meeting. We shut off, the kids were in bed. We shut off all electronics. We shut off the TV and we sat down and I was like, what do you see yourself doing in this business? Now, at this time, Mark had been to a bunch of events, just like you, Kurt. So he understood like the importance of this business. And he understood the business and he had listened. He gets on these, calls and he would listen and he would hear Keith and he would listen to Bob and he would listen to the National Wake Up Call. Like, so he understood how this all worked and he would ask a ton of questions, but he didn't know what his role was going to be. So I sat down and as the talker, I zipped it. I stopped talking and I sat there and I said, what do you see in this business? And I just listened. And the things that were coming, I was like, really? Oh, great idea. Like he had these amazing ideas on what he wanted to do. I'd like to do your graphics. I'd like to actually, let's set up a video studio. Let's do weekly videos. I'd like to start editing videos and doing pictures and making sure we have your social media sites up. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. Yes, I suck at all of that. Yes, you're hired. You know, like, and I was just like so excited. Like, you have to use your spouse's strengths, whatever it is. They don't have to be in front. Mark has no desire to talk to anyone, you know, like, but he did an amazing job talking to, where was the guy from? QuickBooks. He called QuickBooks because it was an issue, and seriously was on the phone with the guy for an hour, getting him to like join the team. I was like listening to him going, oh my gosh, this is so, see, you totally can talk to people. So, but you know, that is important. Asking, what do you see? It doesn't have to be like, don't exclude them. You are building a future generations, an empire, a business, whatever you want to call it. Like, your family is going to take this business over and take, like, you have to think long term. Like, this is a family business. You have to get involved. Well, that's her thing. That's his thing. Hell no. This is our thing. And women or spouses, whoever is doing the business, this is not your business. Stop saying my business. I'm going to go work on my business. Remove that out immediately. This is our business. You have to talk about it as being our business. You are a team. You are building this together. Don't exclude them. Invite them on these calls. This will be recorded. Invite them to listen to the National Wake Up Call. When you're in the car, some Brian Tracy, some Jim Rohn should be playing in that car. Like, the kids will start absorbing it too. It's all good. Jim Rohn will put them right to sleep. He's got that voice. You know, it's all good.
Puts me to sleep.
Yeah, I know, he's got that voice. It's like, so just make sure that you include your spouse, please, please, please. Even if they don't get it and they're like, that's your thing. Tell them, I appreciate that, but I want it to be our thing. And I'm not saying you have to work for me. I want us to figure this out together, and I could really use your help. And whatever that looks like is what the conversation you kind of need to have. What do you think, have you guys all been to, I know Taryn and Chris and Kurt have you all been to events? Matt, have you been to any events like Super Saturday, Summit?
Yeah, I did a Super Saturday at with Fitz Energy, but
it was like one of the in-between ones that we do at Aaron's house.
Okay.
I was pretty much watching everybody's kids at the trampoline.
I was the babysitter.
Yeah, you got to
I was the Manny.
It was awesome.
Yeah. We're super new to this, so I went to Summit this year, but we're booked for the cruise, and we bought our ticket for Summit next year. Our biggest thing is Saturdays are tough for childcare, so I know, like, I've seen people bring their kids, and I'm like, one of us isn't getting something out of this because our children are maniacs. So I'd feel bad for everybody there if we brought them. So that's our struggle with that. But yeah,
I would try it and then, take, like,
say that now.
like, you're welcome to come to our Team Passion one on Sunday, November 15th. And, just bring them. And if one of you, if Kristen, maybe you're the one that takes
Yeah.
to the hall so that Matt can really, because he needs to start feeling the events, because there's just so much that you get out of them.
He always comes home so charged up and like so energetic, and just
Yeah.
like it's hard to feed off it if you're not really there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Chris and Kurt, do you think events have been big for you guys in the business, getting to them?
I mean, I think for me, it's been cool to see just all the people that Taryn works with, and just the whole the scale of everything as well. But I think I've spent a lot of the time when we're at in Nashville and that's the daycare or just hanging out, which was awesome, poolside and
Yeah, he worked on his tan at leadership.
So, yeah.
You can tell the difference. I was inside all day.
Yeah, I was outside pretty much, I would say, all day, every day. But I definitely want to check out more events now.
Kurt, what about you?
I went to my first summit this past summer in Nashville. I enjoyed it. I wish I was at previous one in Las Vegas, but from what I've just talking to her, how much it's grown over from the 3 years in Vegas to Nashville, and I'm sure it'll be even bigger next year. It was cool to see how they put it all together in the different arenas and how big it really is.
Yeah.
And the cruise was great. Cancun, another cruise. I mean, that was my first cruise. Didn't think I'd ever go to Nashville in my life. Probably no reason to go there or ever go to Cancun, but it affords you opportunities to go places you never thought you'd go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we going? Haiti, right?
Yeah. We make it a point to bring our kids on the trips, on the Success Club trips, so that they can, because I feel like they earned that too, by my sacrifice of not being around sometimes. We will not be taking them to Nashville next year because that was not good. But it was a nice effort on the Jones part. It was worth the shot for sure. But for, it's important to get your spouse there and pay for the ticket. Even if they only hear, like if they're like bored the whole time and roll their eyes, they're going to hear one speaker that something is going to click for them. And I'll never forget the biggest event. Like Mark would come every year and he would come to everything and he would talk to, one year at leadership, the spouses weren't allowed in the room. Right. So all the husbands were out by the pool talking. And I remember Mark being like, oh, okay, I talked to this guy and this guy. Yeah, this seems really legit. Like he already knew, but he just had more affirmation just talking to some of the husbands out and about. And then they see each other now, at all the events. So I think that's huge. But what would you say, Mark, about events, how important they've been for you?
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot out of them from the trainings and stuff.
Yeah.
And, then I can understand the business better. I think that's where I got most of all my ideas and stuff from.
Yeah. And I think Smart Success was big for us, and I know Kurt probably too. Just hearing Brett and Chalene Johnson's story. They probably have a podcast or a YouTube or something out there sharing their story, but similar situation. Brett came home and he was like, what do you want me to do? And Chalene was like, grocery shop. Like it was the same conversation. We're like, help us. And then we're like, but we don't know how. Like we're just, so the more proactive you can get now before you retire your husband and bring him home, the more you can get him in the business now, learning that, there'll be less housework for him to do.
You don't like housework.
Yeah, you don't like housework, I'm sure. So I think kind of getting that going now would be helpful. But honestly, I would be a little more assertive with your spouses when they say, well, that's your thing, I'm not interested. Educate them more. Invite them more. Don't give up. Keep planting the seeds. Keep inviting them. They're eventually going to say yes or hop on a call or listen to something or just put on Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy in the car with no choice. Just put it on. This is what we're listening to today. Then chop their fingers off. They try to change it. So, what do you guys, one last question, what do you guys have for goals in this business? Like if you guys sat down and talked about long-term goals on what you see happening for this business? Matt, what about you guys?
I know that for me personally, like I do, like, I listen to some of the Key County's podcasts, and, I look at some of the old trainings and stuff. And like, I feel like for me, like, I come from a sales family, but I always understood like every point of the business. And before, like, to make that leap and just start going, everyone's like, oh no, just keep going, just go. Like, you can do it. Just like, learn by doing. Like, that's what she says, like, learn by doing. And I feel uncomfortable with that, but that's just because that's how I am. But I know long term that it can't all just be on her. Like, I need to do my part. There's like, especially for guys, it's such an untapped market, and that's what everybody keeps saying. And I'm into some of the different groups now that are spreading, that are more centered towards not, obviously Christian handle females. But if I can engage a few guys or some of the friends that I know, or grow that aspect of business, then why not? It wouldn't really take that much. It's just making that step, being able to communicate it and follow through. But I mean, again, it's a little more education, a little bit more confidence on my part, but that's kind of where I see my personal goals. And for us, I mean, I love being home. Like, I would love to be able to do this and not have to take the train every morning and get up and be able to bring the kids home and, do what some of the other guys I see on Facebook doing. I'm like, I like to play golf. I'd like to enjoy some of our personal time while the kids are at school, clean that house and do all those other things. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's where I see my goals, and I think where we'd like to be, in a couple of years from now is, being able to focus on what's most important to us.
Do you guys write goals down together each week?
No.
You should. We highly suggest that. Mark and I, we haven't done it in a while. We got to get back to it. But we used to sit down on Sunday nights about 9 o'clock after everyone was in bed and just kind of sit down and write out our goals. We would write them separately and then kind of exchange papers. And they were pretty much identical. So it was pretty cool to kind of see that. I'm like, okay, cool. We're on the same page. But it's important because then if you're, especially like for us, this house was our big main push goal together. So that was what we talked about a ton. Like, what do we need to do to make more money to get in that house? So it was like constant, like, what can I do so that we can do this? What can I, it was very, this is what I need from you. This is what you need. It was very communicative on how we were going to reach one big goal. So yeah, I recommend kind of sitting down and doing that. Even if you never written goals, just get something down on paper.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What do you guys have for goals long term?
I don't think she writes down goals all the time. I don't always, but I think a big one is to not have to work until I'm in my 60s in my career, because that's kind of what it would be right now. Which, I mean, as an educator, the benefits will be great and all that if you do go the whole way. But that's I don't know. That's a long time from now. So I think ideally we would like it so that I didn't have to work, in education until I'm 60, because the kids will drive me crazy by that time. I'm sure they already do. I think, I don't know, what else would you say for goals?
I'm asking you, Chris.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking about it and I already forgot it. I'm usually asleep by now. Sorry. I think being able to do the kinds of things where you take the kids to school or like to events in the middle of the day, had the opportunity, but I had to take a day off in order to do that, but to not have to take those days. Watching Charlotte in a play recently was awesome, and so I know more of those events will be coming up, and I can't take days for all of those events. So I think that's a big goal, that I'd like to be able to do that sooner rather than later.
Love it. All right, Kurt, you're retired. Now what? You going to Disney World? Oh, okay.
No more. We're done. The main goal is reached.
No, there's a lot more work to do.
Okay. No, well, yeah, obviously that was a big goal, and it probably happened about 10 years earlier than I thought it really could. But I think the goals now is just to continue educating not only me, because I'm newer to this, but her as well, just finding different ways. We're always like, what do you think of this? To try to, at this point, rank and advance Monica more now, because, she's almost like tapping out where she is now. I know one of her goals, I found an old goals chart of hers from a couple of years ago, was 5-star. And I'm like, well, you haven't reached it yet, but so.
Mark,
Yeah.
to me this week.
Yes. I immediately thought of Mark. Immediately.
But, just finding different ways to, get her there, get us there. And, I'm like brainstorming stuff, trying to think of things and, from my business background, but, just seeing how it can apply to Beachbody. And I think there's some other goals. I don't know. I'm not working anymore, so that's my main goal.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I'm done. Thanks.
You gotta get him to work. Oh.
She hasn't fired me yet.
Getting close there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I truly thank you guys for, I know I'm messing with like Monday Night Football, sleep patterns. I know. Thank you so much for taking your time with us. Georgia and Bo, would you like to add anything? It looks like you guys are hanging out there together. Anything you guys want to say to us? I know this is all very new. Bo, have you been able to kind of understand this business a little bit? Does Georgia talk to you? Does she share? Or does she leave you out of it? You're muted, remember, Georgia.
She keeps on muted.
I can there you go.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been very supportive of her. I don't know a lot about the business, but for me right now, I'm out of work injured. Georgia probably told you I had neck surgery 8 months ago. I'm a state trooper in Massachusetts. And so it's actually been great because I am home and I'm able to help out and do things around the house, laundry and, help with the kids and, grocery shopping and all that stuff. And I mean, I can say that the 21-day fix has been fantastic for me to keep my weight down. And it's just really become, for us, a lifestyle. I mean, I've tried every fad diet and I've always been into working out and keeping in shape. But this is something like the Shakeology 21-day fix. I've been telling a lot of my friends about it. And I mean, I have a friend of mine that's lost 50 pounds from doing it. And, that's kind of been spreading just around our town. And so I think it's been great. I've been very supportive of her and hopefully it'll, be something that will, will help us in the future.
Yeah, no, he does. He does chat everywhere he goes about it, and everyone asks him because they see, they're like, "What are you doing?" So he's kind of like my walking billboard.
Mm.
So I get a lot of calls and from his friends, and the woman Ellen that just signed up as a coach is his colleague's wife, and she's been on it for like 4 days. She's like, "I feel amazing." So he definitely talks it up, but I haven't shared like how it works. And so I think I'm going to start inviting him to events, and maybe the next one in November he can come with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just sharing, your big goal right now that you're going to be Diamond on Thursday, and that's going to be huge, that's huge. And, and it's incredible what you were able to do last December, signing up and becoming an Emerald on Christmas Eve. Like, you have to, it's like nobody does that. Like, nobody does that. Everyone stops working like December 14th. So for you to like sign up December 14th, see, I don't stop working December 14th, and then, become an Emerald and, hit Success Club and all in your first, 2 weeks around Christmas was huge. And so, making sure that he understands how big this Diamond goal was for you and has been, and what it took to get here, and what an impact that's doing for the rest of the team and the big team goal, and how important you are to that. And just kind of him really getting to know what that looks like. And,
I talk about that all the time, like the rank and what it takes, and how many coaches, and then who's working. Because Lynn is actually a friend of ours in town, and she was my second coach sign up. It was Bo and Lynn, and then she canceled, and then she got back on now further down. But so he gets all that rank, and I talk about it all the time. And I was so excited the other day. So he gets that. But I think it's more the details I need to share too.
Yeah, big picture stuff. And yeah, the more you guys can do as a team, just the more strength you guys will all have. And, and this doesn't just go for spouses. If you guys have someone out there, your mom, your sister, your brother, whoever that can be a strong business partner for you, that'll be huge. Like just finding a business partner that you can bounce ideas off of, and you both have similar goals, and whatever you guys do together will help each other, like whatever that looks like. I'm not saying you have to be married or whatever. So if you're not, just look for a business partner, whether it be a best friend, a family member, someone you can trust, someone you love, someone that you would love to see succeed, and they would also love that for you. So not a family member that's poo-pooing you. Find someone that gives you that lifts you up, and tells you how amazing this is. Or if they're nervous about what it is, then educate them and tell them kind of what it is. But does anyone have any questions that you want to ask anybody? You can unmute yourselves and go ahead and talk. Anybody? Euler? Do you have anything to add, Mark?
No. I guess like
Yeah.
you don't have to you don't have to be a Beachbody coach. There's other parts of the business that you can do. You don't have to talk to people.
Talk louder. No one can hear you. Go ahead, talk really loud. No.
You can hear me, right? See?
I wanted to also say too, like, I think Chris made it seem that, oh yeah, it was all wonderful and everything in the beginning. I think it's easier now for us to look back and be like, oh, you weren't that skeptical, but he really was. Like, I don't know if we conveyed that to everybody, because he
It was a while. I mean, I trusted her in it, but I also said, don't quit your day job.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half before he really was like, oh, okay, I guess this is legit. So he always supported me, but I just didn't want people to think like that, this is all like, yeah, woo, the whole time, because it wasn't, right?
No, yeah,
Sorry.
no. First, I was just make sure you can cover your Shakeology bags, and we'll make sure that we use it, because I'm frugal that way. But that she was really into it, and so I definitely supported you with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it as a career option definitely not for a good year and a half or so. I just was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
But,
sorry, I just wanted to add that, because I was like, that really sounded like it was just. Oh.
Because it is now.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. I know. It is hard to look back. No, I thank you for that. It is hard to look back and remember what it was like in the beginning. But the really cool thing too is I love the push that Mark gives me. Not always, because we had a little fight at leadership over this.
I didn't have a fight.
I had an issue. Where, Mark will say to me on the first of the month, have you hit Success Club yet? Like, seriously, dude, give me a break. But it pushes me. It's like, and there's been times throughout these 5 years on the 30th of the month, and he's like, how many Success Club points do you have? And I'm like, 2. Like, seriously? I'm like, listen, I hit it every month. Relax. It's all good. I'll hit it, But then I'm like, oh my God, so to have someone understand what those goals mean and check on you lovingly. At leadership, Mark said to me, how do you expect your team to rank advance if you're not rank advancing? I was like, leave me alone. I'm already grouchy. Nobody's here with me. Bye. And I pouted and walked away and threw a little fit. But it's good because he was right? So we get mad. So we get mad or get upset because, they're right. They're usually right sometimes. Is this recorded? Did I hit stop record? But honestly, it's good to have that. So even if in the beginning that's their only role, like if you're like explaining to them, hey, I want to get you more involved in this business. I have goals every month. I need to hit Success Club by the 15th of every month, and that means helping 3 people. And I'm looking to rank Advanced to Diamond in the next 30 days. Can you hold me accountable? You know, you have to be ready for that. So if you say that, you got to be ready to receive that. But I think that's really helpful because it's someone who cares about your success and cares about you, and they are pushing you because they know you can do better. They're pushing you because they believe in you and they know you can do better. So, so just make sure that you are including your spouse, regardless if they have any interest in what you're doing or not. This is a family business. This means a lot to you. You're sitting here on a Monday night and with us every week, and you're doing this, so it has to mean something to you. So you need them to know that, and you need to know what it looks like. And don't let them just say, well, that's your thing. Thanks anyway. That, don't get upset. Understand that that's okay. You have to understand where they're coming from, but then the next week, sit down, sit with your goals, and invite them to come do some goals with you. And if they say, no, I'm good, football's on, that's okay. Don't take offense. Try again next week. They're eventually going to join you. So don't, because then you're going to be resentful and be like, you're going to invite your mom on the trip instead of the spouse because you're going to be pissed because they didn't help, right? It's going to turn all sorts of ugly. You didn't help me. You're not coming on this trip. You don't deserve it, right? So make sure that you're just keep planting the seeds, just like we teach you every day. Just keep planting the seeds and making sure that they feel included, and it'll feel better, and it'll be really important. Does anyone want to add anything else before we finish? All right, well, thank you so much for your time. This will be up on the Team Passion YouTube channel. Thank you, Matt, Chris, Kurt, Bo, for getting on here and taking time with us. So have a good night. Oh, and Mark.